Gentlemen, this one's for you. So this is for the husbands, for the dads, for the sons. If you're a man who loves his family and shows up every single day and is quietly wondering why your body is not keeping up with everything you're carrying, I'm so glad that you're here today. And ladies, if you're listening right now, I want to encourage you to stay with me. I think you're going to want to share this one with the men in your life. Today, we're going to cover 4 things that every man in his 40s and 50s needs to understand about his body. We're going to talk about belly fat, hormones, muscle, and what is on your plate. And we're going to connect all of it to what God says about the body He gave you and what you can actually start doing today. This is not a lecture, my friends. This is me coming alongside you as a wife, as a daughter, as somebody who has a lot of men in her life and has been able to really coach a lot of men and give them a really clear path forward. So I want you to grab something to write with and let's dive in. Welcome to Strength for Generations, the go-to podcast for Christian families who want to build strength, restore energy, and deepen connection with God at the center. I'm Krista Baker, Christian health coach, wife, mom, and co-founder of Baker Family Fitness. I'm here to help you honor God with your health and bring peace back to the process, to simplify what it means to build strength in your body, renew your mind, and care for your spirit, all without losing precious time with your family. So grab your coffee and your ribeye, and let's do this His way. Now, before we dive in, I want to ask you to do something really quick. If this podcast has ever encouraged you, challenged you, or helped you take one step forward in your health, would you take 30 seconds right now and leave a review? I know it sounds like a small thing, but I want to tell you why it actually matters. Every time you leave a review, you help another man just like you find this podcast. A man who is worn down and quietly wondering if this is just what getting older feels like. Your review could be the thing that leads him here. And I don't think that is an accident. And ladies, if you're listening and you have a husband who needs to hear this, I want to encourage you to send it to him today. Text him the link right now and just say, hey, I thought of you when I heard this. That's an act of love. That is you fighting for your family. And don't forget to subscribe. That way you don't miss out on any of the content that comes after. All right, let's get into today's episode. So I want to tell you about a man I know. He is faithful. He shows up to work every single day. He loves his wife and he loves his kids. He's in church every single Sunday. He serves when he can, but behind closed doors, he's running on empty. He's exhausted by noon. He's gained weight around his midsection that does not seem to want to move no matter what he tries. He does not feel as sharp as he used to. He does not feel as strong as he used to. And if he's really honest, he does not feel like the man he wants to be. He's not said any of this out loud because men do not always say these things out loud. But I see it. I see it in the men who come to me after years of pushing through and quietly wondering why nothing is getting better. And what I've learned working with men like him is that it never is just one thing. It's always a combination of what is happening inside the body, what is on his plate, how he is moving, and how long the signals have been going unanswered. Here's the good news, my friends. When you understand what is actually happening, you can do something about it. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Here are the 4 things I want you to walk away knowing today. 1, what visceral fat is and why it matters. 2, how testosterone and iron are connected. 3, why muscle loss happens and what you can do about it. And 4, how your plate is working for or against you right now. So let's go through each one. Okay, our first one. What visceral fat is and why it matters. Have you ever wondered why the fat around your midsection feels so different from the weight that you may have carried in other seasons of your life? There's actually a really important reason for that. The fat that builds up around the midsection is called visceral fat. And here's what most of us don't really understand about it. It's not just sitting there. Visceral fat is metabolically active tissue, which means it's constantly producing signals inside your body that affect your hormones, your blood sugar, and your inflammation levels. So here's what it actually does. It wraps around your organs, including your liver, your pancreas, and your intestines. It drives insulin resistance, which is an early warning sign on the road toward type 2 diabetes. It increases inflammation throughout the body. It contributes to cardiovascular risk. It disrupts hormonal balance, including your testosterone production. Okay, here's one practical thing that you can do today. Grab a soft tape measure. Don't have one, just go to the dollar store and grab one. Measure your waist at the level of your belly button. I want you to write that number down. And here's what it means. If you're under 40 inches, you're below the primary clinical risk threshold, but it doesn't mean that you stop paying attention. We want to continue building healthy habits and monitor changes over time. Whereas if you're 40 inches or more, this is the range where the risk of insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and hormone disruption increases, according to clinical guidelines. So our goal isn't to chase a perfect number. Right now, we're just gathering data. We want to become aware. We want to know where you're starting, and then we can start to track your progress. And we need to make sure that we watch that number move in the right direction. Okay, number 2, we're going to talk about how testosterone and iron are connected. So have you ever felt like no matter how much sleep you get, you still wake up tired? Have you noticed that your mental clarity is not what it used to be? Have you felt like your drive and motivation have just quietly faded over the past few years? Most of us, mostly men, but I think a lot of us actually feel this way. We just chalk it up to stress or getting older. Like we're just supposed to feel this way. And while those things do play a role, there's often something more significant happening underneath the surface. So here's what's actually going on for many men in their 40s and 50s. Testosterone naturally begins to decline starting in the mid-30s. By the late 40s and 50s, levels can drop enough to affect energy, strength, clarity, mood, and intimacy. But testosterone does not decline in isolation. Here's the part that most men have never heard. Iron levels in the body directly impact how your body produces and uses hormones, including testosterone. So when your iron is too low or not being properly regulated, men feel it everywhere. And here's what low or dysregulated iron can look like. Fatigue that sleep does not seem to fix. Brain fog that makes focused work feel harder than it should. Slower recovery from exercise and from daily demands. Mood and patience that feel harder to manage. Many men who are told they have low testosterone have an underlying iron issue that has never been properly investigated. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to ask your doctor for a full panel that includes these specific tests. Testosterone, total and free, irons including ferritin, transferrin saturation, fasting glucose, and hemoglobin A1C. It's going to be really hard to get insulin, especially if you're here in Canada, but you can push for it. And an inflammatory marker. So I want you to bring those lists to your appointment. If not, you can actually head over to our website, bakerfamilyfitness.com/glucopharin. And we have a more extensive list that we specifically recommend. Or you can see if your doctor will fill that rec for you. Get as many on the test as you can. We don't start with hormones. So you would have to add the testosterone, just really push your doctor to get the testosterone stuff done, especially if you're noticing all of these other factors where you're feeling exhausted. And just, kind of push for not just this general checkup, but hey, let's do some investigating. Let's get some baseline numbers because you can't address what you've not measured. Okay, 3, why muscle loss happens and what you can do about it. So have you noticed that it takes longer to recover from physical activity than it used to? Have you felt like your strength has quietly shifted even when you are still active? Starting around age 35, men naturally begin to lose muscle mass over time. And muscle is not just about how you look or how much you can lift, but here's what it actually does for your body. It helps you regulate blood sugar. It supports your hormonal health. It keeps your metabolism working efficiently. It protects your joints and supports your posture and movement. So when muscle decreases over time, here is what follows. Your metabolism slows down, insulin sensitivity drops, fat accumulates more easily, especially around the midsection, energy and strength decline gradually. And the most powerful tool available to you right now is consistent strength training. And here's a very simple place to start. 2 days a week of resistance training. Just start there. 3 to 4 compound movements per session, like squats, hinges, rows, presses, 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps on each movement, 2 weeks of consistency before adding anything else. So just start with 2 days a week, 30 minutes max. I think I've shared with you many times, I typically start my clients daily at 15 minutes because I get them moving every day and they start to really enjoy it and they find it very doable. But if we're like, I don't know where to put this into my plan, I mean, if you can't do the 2, do 1. But you've got to start somewhere. Remember, 1 Timothy 4:8 says, "For physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come." Physical training is of some value. God doesn't tell us to just idolize our bodies. That's not what we're doing, but He's asking you to not neglect your body. He's asking you to steward it. Consistency before complexity. That is the foundation. So, number 4, how your plate is working for or against you right now. Have you ever thought about how much protein you are actually eating in a day compared to what your body genuinely needs? Most men don't. I mean, I'll hear from men, "Oh yeah, I eat meat. I eat a lot of meat. I'm a man. I barbecue." But they don't actually know how much they're consuming in a day. When you actually measure it, most of the men that I work with, they're surprised by how far below the real need they have been eating is. What we're doing is we're generally consuming way more calories in other areas and other macronutrients and under eating in the protein department. But here's why the protein matters so much for men, especially during this time. It's the building block of muscle tissue. It's the raw material for hormone production. We also need our fats for hormone production as well. It helps to keep your blood sugar stable and hunger manageable throughout the day. And it also supports recovery from training and honestly from the demands of daily life. We're just go, go, go. And a lot of the men I work with are physically active farmers, business owners, a lot of men in different positions, and they're very active, but not very focused on building muscle per se. And so we have to find a way to have that in. But the protein is going to help repair those muscles when we start working them. And so here's where we're going to start with our protein, guys. We're going to aim for 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day, or ideal body weight. So if you weigh 250, you want to weigh around 200. Let's get at least 180 to 200 grams of protein every single day. But I want you to focus on where you get your protein from. I want you to focus on making sure that it's from heme sources. So your beef, your eggs, your fish, really the red meat is the best source for heme iron. If you can get game meat, give me a call and bring some on over. You can ship some over in the mail, but you definitely want to really focus on the heme iron because remember we talked about iron and testosterone being connected. I mean, iron dysregulation is connected to all of this. I'm thinking about a gentleman that I've had the opportunity to work with for the last couple of months. And when I did a call with him originally, he shared with me that he had really, because he was talking about how low his energy was. And I was like, well, have you had blood labs done recently? And he said, yeah. And he has hemochromatosis, which my husband had too. And hemochromatosis is being found in men like crazy right now. What that is it's your ferritin level's too high. And it's basically causing like a rusting in your organs. So we have too much of the iron not being regulated properly. So we're going to feed it, but we want to feed it the right iron, which is the heme iron. But we're also going to have to remove some of it safely out of the tissue, which is why I recommend blood labs. Because everyone, if you are feeling like all of these things are not working in your favor, your testosterone levels are dropping, you're gaining weight around your waist, your energy levels are tanking, you're more irritable, that is a sign that we have some metabolic dysfunction happening. And we really need to address that. So I really pray that this is falling on the right ears right now because God wants you to hear this message because you're not broken. We just have a little bit of investigating to do. So here are your action steps for this week. For the next 7 days, I want you to just track your protein intake using an app. I personally use Macros First or use MyFitnessPal. And it's just gathering data. You don't need to fix everything. You just want to see what you're currently doing because then we know how to build on that and how to start making better choices or how to make those changes. Just measure. Awareness is what always comes before change. Now, I want to speak to something that goes a little deeper than any lab value or macro target. Have you ever felt tension between wanting to lead your family well and feeling like your body is quietly making things harder? I think a lot of men feel that tension and do not have words for it. In Nehemiah 4:14, it says, "Do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and fight for your families, your sons and your daughters, your wives and your homes. That's a call to stand. That's a call to be present. And that is a call to lead. And I believe that call includes the stewardship of the body God gave you to carry it out. The man who is running on empty is not able to answer that call the way he wants to. Trust me, I've watched men go from really, really dragging their butts, feeling terrible, to, oh my goodness, I am leading this home in a way that I'd never thought possible. I don't think God wants us to just be like, I'm too tired to deal with this thing. I don't think that is who you want to be. I think you want to be the man who is present at the end of the day, the man who has something left to give his wife and his children, the man who is strong enough to serve because he has been faithful with what God gave him. That man is not built by accident. He is built by intention, by consistency, and by the grace of God working through faithful stewardship. I have also worked with men who have joined my program and then chose watching the hockey game over their health with the right support in their pocket, with encouragement, with all the tools, and yet they still decided that, oh, you know what, maybe I'll get to it sometime. And that breaks my heart. It's very rare for anyone that's come in to work with me, but I've had it happen because sometimes we're afraid to make these changes. And so if God's stirring in your heart that it's time for you to do something about your health and for you to actually lead your family well and not just rely on your wife to do all the cooking, like sometimes the man needs to come in and lead. I've had more men kibosh women really wanting to come into the program. And they're like, no, we're fine. We don't need to do that. We can figure this out on our own. Or why don't you just go and, join a cheap gym where they're not being poured into spiritually. They're not being supported nutritionally. They're not being supported with their hormone health. And they're just kind of still flailing and trying to figure it out and doing a video at home. And so I truly believe that men need to rise up in that area as well. Like, let's do this together. So, men, I want to take a quick second and tell you about something I put together specifically for men and families who are ready to take what they're learning and actually do something with it. It's called the Move Mountains Method, and it's a 5-day free training. Over those 5 days, we go deeper together. This also helps me to see who's truly ready to make these changes. There's a reason why I've developed it to be a 5-day, not just this free PDF that you're going to get on the internet. I have intentionally built this because first and foremost, the Lord told me to. And secondly, because I know that when I see somebody go through these 5 days and I'm like, yep, you're in a good spot, you are definitely in a place of really figuring this out. And so on day 1, we figure out why. Why does this even matter? And I get really deep with you guys, the real reason behind why you want this. Because without that foundation, nothing else sticks. And trust me, I've been doing this long enough. I know when people are in that good mindset and we get to do that level of work together, they're the ones that actually really follow through well. Day 2, we cover daily activity and movement. So I get you to start to understand what it's going to take for you and where you're going to put that into your life and how to enjoy movement, because God designed our bodies to feel really good and move well. Day 3, we talk about nutrition and what your plate actually needs to look like. And so I love guiding people on the nutrition journey because I was so confused about nutrition for so long. And so I designed it specifically so that you can simplify the things that actually matter. When we figure out those kind of 101 basics, from there, my goodness, it's so cool. You start to really understand that's all I got to do. It's actually not as hard as I've made it out to be. Day 4, we talk about perseverance because I have worked with people for many, many years, and there has never been a time when I've had one person literally go through my entire coaching program and they're like, I didn't have any challenges at all. It is non-existent. So if you understand how to persevere through challenging moments and stop relying on motivation, that's what we really dive into on day 4. And that is why I have such a high success rate in my program. God calls us and he doesn't want us to just rely on that motivation. Okay. And then day 5, we talk about legacy. So what do you really want to leave behind? Do you want your kids to have eating issues because you did? Or do you want to fix it so that you guys can walk in freedom? When we learn to steward our own body well, our kids are going to see it and their kids are going to see it. And God says that he wants to bless your generations. And that means that the man needs to lead the home really well. So what do you want to leave behind? How your health is today, it's building something or it's taking something away from the people coming after you. So that is 5 days of real, practical, faith-rooted guidance at no cost to you. I built this because God really asked me to, and I'm really excited about it. So make sure you go to bakerfamilyfitness.com/movemountains and make sure that you sign up. All right, gentlemen, before I let you go, I want to leave you with this. Everything we covered today, the visceral fat, the hormones, the muscle, the protein, none of it is meant to overwhelm you. It's meant to give you a clearer picture of where you are and what is actually available to you. You don't have to figure this all out alone. You don't have to keep pushing through and hoping things eventually get better on their own. You can just take one step today. Measure your waist. Write down those lab tests and bring them to your doctor. Add protein to your next meal. Show up for the training. Pick one of them. That is all God is asking of you today. And thank you for spending this time with me today. I really appreciate it. If this episode encouraged you, share it with a man in your life who needs to hear this, and not like, ladies, if you're sharing this with your husband or maybe your brother or whatever, don't be pokey. Don't be like, oh man, you really need to hear this. Like, hey, this is encouraging. I want to help you. I see you. I know that you're struggling. I want to be here for you. Until then, keep building strength for generations. Thanks for tuning in to Strength for Generations. If this podcast encouraged you, it would be a blessing if you took a quick minute to leave a 5-star review. It helps more families hear this message and find hope for their health and faith journey. It lights me up to know this podcast is helping you. And if you feel led to share this episode, text it to a friend, post it to your stories, or send it to someone on your heart. God might use it to encourage someone who really needs it today. And don't forget to eat steaks, lift weights, love Jesus, and keep doing it His way.